Alright, this next video is going to talk about the graphs of inverse functions. This here is going to be a graph of x to the third plus 1. Beautiful, isn't it? Okay, to graph the inverse based on the graph that you are given, you need to do the following. First, simply switch to x and y coordinates. So on this line, x to the third plus 1, I see a few coordinates on there. I see one right here, and actually one right there too. So those are, they're not guesses. I can see exactly where they go through. So I'm going to write down what they are. This one is at -1, 0. Okay, the first step to graphing the inverse is to swap the x and y. So instead of being -1, 0, it's going to be 0, -1. All right, this next point right here is 0, 1. If I swap the x and the y, it's going to be here at 1, 0. And the third point is 1, 2. And if I switch the x and excuse me, if I switch the x and y, that takes me to 2, 1, which is right here. So step 1, swap the x's and the y's. And hopefully you can kind of get a sense of what this is going to look like. All right. The other thing to remember is that, and that's why I have this line right here, this line is y equals x. And a function and its inverse are mirror images across the line y equals x. So this original point is reflected directly across this line to here, and the same here, and the same here. Second, you should know that wherever the graph crosses the line y equals x, the inverse also crosses at that point. Remember, if this is supposed to be reflected across this line, and this, well, where does this reflection go? It doesn't go anywhere. It stays there because there's no space between the line and the graph. Well, it's going to be the same way for the inverse. It's going to go through that point as well. Wherever it crosses this line, the inverse will also cross that spot. And lastly, remember that the graph, they mirror each other across that y equals x line. So you can fill in the line so that it mirrors the image. And what you should get should look like that. Let's check. Oh, sure enough, there it is. Okay, so that's all there is to graphing inverses if you already have the graph. And believe it or not, that's the end of this video.